Alright, what's up guys? How's everybody doing? I am going to show you the best setups that I think are the most lucrative. And right now in a bear market, this is the kind of stuff we should be looking for. This is what I'm looking for. Everybody looks for different stuff. Everybody has different trading styles, but this is all about what I'm looking for. If you find some value in it, so be it. I hope you do. I think a lot of beginner traders don't really know what to look for. They're strategy hopping. They're scalping every little move here and there, and I think that's good because that is what you need to do in the beginning. But eventually you want to settle down and start looking for some home run trades, some A-plus setups, or whatever you want to call them. And I am going to talk a lot about gaps, and we have been having a lot of gaps this past week. So this is the start of a new series that I hope to be doing every week and posting it in the Discord every weekend. And it gives me a chance to also go over my favorite trade setups and what I'm looking for, not only for people who are wanting to learn, but for myself, so I can backtest them and train my eye to see them over and over again, because the more you see a pattern over and over again, the more you get familiar with it. Not only that, but you also can find when it doesn't work out. So just looking at a dead chart is helpful because you can see the patterns, right? You can see what has happened, but it is more helpful when you get to see it playing out and how it's actually behaving, not only in real time, but you can go back in time and do it backtesting. So that's why I really like the Trade of 8 replay. You can just go back to any time. I pay for this every month. I think it's well worth it because this is my favorite trading platform that I've been using for a long time. And I also use Ninja Trader. I might do some backtesting videos on that as well. But I'm going to go over gaps. I'm going to go over break and retest, but mostly just gaps. So I'm going to go over a lot of gaps because we had a lot of gap fills this past week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday. They don't always look the exact same, and that's the tricky part about trading, is no pattern is a perfect looking pattern. And if you can recognize when these patterns are playing out, you can develop a trader's instinct. So that's what I'm trying to help you guys and anybody else who may be struggling on finding these patterns that I'm talking about, or you want to learn more about them. This is what I'm going to look for, and I'm going to backtest them. I'm just going to go back in time, and I'm also going to show when they fail, because there's a lot of what I call gap traps. So they look like they're going to fill the gap, but it ends up just turning out to be a pullback and continuation into the same direction that the trend started off. So a gap goes up, and then it eventually gives up and craps and goes back down, or it does the opposite. And right now in a bear market, you're getting lots and lots of gaps. Gaps are everywhere. So let's go ahead and look here. 1 hour is the most important gaps in my opinion. Okay, 1 hour. They occur on all the time frames, and I know like ICT and smart money concepts and all that stuff, people will talk about gaps. And there's people I see looking for gaps on 1 minute and even tick chart and 2 minute. That's a waste of time, in my opinion. This is my opinion. Look for them on the higher time frames, and if I'm on the okay, what am I trying to say here? If you can find them on the higher time frames and develop a sense to when they're actually going to play out, and you take the trade, and maybe this is the one you want to go a little bit big on, or you're trying to pass a challenge. These are the trades that I'm looking for, to pass challenges and to go big on. But they only happen about 5% of the time. So maybe once or twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. This past week we had it 4 times a week. So I'm gonna go over lots of gaps. All right, in this past week, and we did it 4 times that I know of, maybe even 5. I think there was a smaller gap. It was on the lower time frame that was still noteworthy. But the market has behavior patterns that play out over and over again until they don't. And then we have a break of structure, and then the structure changes. And as you can see here, it roars up most of January and February. Roars up 1 hour, and on this day it gapped and then crashed. And then the next day it gapped and then crashed. And then we went sideways for a couple days. Then we had a big, huge gap up, and I made a thumbnail on one of my videos where I took a couple losses up here because this trend felt pretty strong up, but then I changed my bias because I realized that we were actually going to fill the gap to the downside, and then I went and I got all my money back. And I think this is actually, I think it was this day over here, and I called it the hot air balloon pattern. Really it is, it's just a gap fill. And I also call it on stream the middle finger, right? The market makers are giving us the big middle finger. They roar it up, make you think you're in a trend, and a lot of people get faked out. They keep buying, and then, you know, it just turns into a bunch of fear going the opposite, and everybody panics out, and bears jump in, and then they fill the gap, and so it's a gap. All right, so right now I've got it zoomed in to the time frame just a little bit before when the gap starts to play out, and I want you guys to feel it as it's happening, not just show you on a dead chart. So here we go. It looks like we're in a strong trend, right? It's roaring up. The market has been just going up for the past hour. It's 9:36 in the morning on Monday, this past Monday. So every week I'm going to do these back testing and go over what I think are the best trades throughout the week and the ones that I'm waiting for. And if you want to wait for them with me or whatever, that's cool. We can talk about it in the Discord. We can chat about gaps. We can chat about reversals and all these trades that I'm looking for that have helped me to make good money. So, yeah, no more over trading for me. Just looking for these bigger trades and trying to pounce on them like a cougar. As you can see, it is, I'm going to put it, it's at 100% right now. I'm going to put a little bit more. Good thing about waiting for trades is, you know, you don't want to be buying the gap fill right here. For me anyways, I want to wait for it when I start to see the change of structure or starts to break down. I never want to have the mentality of trying to buy the very top, short the very top or buy the very bottom. I have to wait for change of structure, no matter how much I'm convinced that it's going to eventually come back down. Because an overbought market can keep going on for a long time, and an oversold can keep going on for a long time. So us little guys like me, and probably most of you, I only have this much drawdown. That's why I put this drawdown when I'm backtesting at $2,100. Okay, I want to find the trades that get me in profit with the least amount of drawdown, and I want the most momentum at my back, pushing me into profit, where I can actually add on to a winning trade if I want, or I can, you know, scalp in and scalp out and keep jumping back in. The former is probably the better option. I got it at 400%, so it's going to start speeding up a little bit. I'm going to zoom in so you can see the colors a little bit better. So we're going to try to wait for the actual gap fill. Okay, I told you what I'm waiting for. I'm not trying to short up here. I'm going to wait for some structure to start closing its way down, okay? I'm going to do it with 5 micros at a time. I'm going to do it just like how I passed challenges. And actually, this is how I passed my challenge last week on Apex. I finished up my 150K, and I passed 2 more 50K. And then the previous week, I did the same thing. I was shorting and got 2 more funded accounts. So next week, I actually have 5 Apex funded accounts coming to me. And I have a Uprofit funded account coming to me, which I think I got with shorting on the gap too. And honestly, my favorite way to trade is usually not shorting. But lately, we've been having such strong moves to the downside and the gap fills to the downside. That's what I'm looking for. Until I start to see a change in structure of this that keeps playing out over and over and over again. Let's go to the daily. Okay. I have not. Okay, I'm gonna have to turn one of these into a daily. All right. Now there's gaps on the daily that need to be filled too. Okay, so right here, these are all daily candles. These are more important than the hourly. And I think right now, on Friday, we're actually down here somewhere, 11,800 and something. So we need to fill all of this to get to the downside. Okay, we got a lot of this. The bears really want to fill this to get to the downside, to fill this gap. And it could happen very, very fast. And that could be very, very lucrative. But it happens so quickly that if you're not near your computer, or I don't know, you could miss it. And I've missed out on big gap fills on Thursday. I had made a good chunk of money. I think I made like $2,000. And I did not want to trade anymore. But the markets kept going further and further and further to the downside, and I was just not in the trades anymore. And I could have made 4,000, but you know, I made 2,000. I was happy about that, but I still felt the FOMO. All right, let's go back to the 5-minute. All right, maybe I should have gotten a little bit closer to when the gap actually started. Okay, I could go a little bit closer. I want you guys to see how the gap plays out, and not just show you on a dead chart, right? So what I'm going to do is go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and log out. No, I'm not going to log out. We're just going to leave it here. I could just speed up the video editor. You can see here on the 1 minute, and this is the 5-minute. I like to enter on break of structure. If I'm shorting, the red candles are red when I'm shorting, and when I'm buying, green candles are green. I didn't buy any of this on Monday. I waited, and I actually shorted the gap fill to the downside. Sometimes I can make money on both ways. It just depends what I have a bias for the day, which I'm leaning towards. Most of the time it's in one direction, but I'm as you can see here, a lot of conventional trading instructors will say do not short if the EMA, the green candles, or do not short when the trend is so far above the 20 EMA, right? And that's true. It looks like a very, very strong bull trend. But it's also kind of, right here, it's kind of parabolic in some ways. The more parabolic it is, the more I kind of think that it is probably going to collapse eventually. Not necessarily every time, but I'm waiting for it to collapse. When it's more like a small pullback bull trend where it's just like it just keeps going up, but it's a slow grind and then it pops up and the slow grind, those are the stronger trends that I definitely do not want to short. It's all subjective, right? It's not, there is no perfect pattern out there that you can just find. I'm just going to go over the back testing and show what I'm looking for, where it actually happens as it's playing out. And I'm going to talk about how I think it may not play out in times of when it looks like it could, but it is probably more of a fake out. Or I'm going to try to show both sides, the winning side of it and then the trap side of it. So you have gaps and you have gap traps, and just like you have breakouts and then you have breakout fake outs. When I go over back testing, I'm gonna try to show the both as much as possible, because so many people on YouTube, they do show the winning side of it, but they hardly ever talk about when it doesn't play out. And I don't think that part is helpful. Yeah, you can learn from seeing how it plays out and the winning side of it, but you learn a lot more to be able to recognize both. And that's what I'm going to try to do with these video series, is show you both as much as I possibly can. Or if I don't show you both, I'm going to talk about what you should look for when the setup that you think is going to happen is probably a trap, or it is not going to play out. So okay, as you can see, it's still just climbing up. There's hardly any bears winning. Only that's making money right now is bulls for the moment. You got to be also mindful of the psych levels. So let's come to the 1 hour. When in doubt, always zoom out. I talk about this a lot in my stream. Okay, so to identify them, mainly the ones on the 1 hour are the most important to me, like I was saying earlier. And I remember doing this on my stream that day, putting the trend line, and usually I think that stuff is going to overshoot on the trend line before I start to short, or before it starts to change structure and go sideways and then go down. Because before there is a gap that starts to get filled to the downside, there's usually a little bit of sideways action. And that's why I called it a hot air balloon. It'll often look like this, and then it has a rounded top, and then maybe it'll look like a double top but a lower high, and then it'll crash. It is never perfect looking, and this week was a perfect example of how we had 4 gap plays that got filled to the downside, and each one of them looked just a little bit different. So we're going to go over all of them this week. I got the house all to myself. There's nobody here, just me and my back testing. All right, okay, it's the 1 hour. Let's go back to the 5 minute. All right, we're starting to get our first red candle here. We're waiting for some sidewaysness, maybe a drop down below the EMA, and then we're looking for fear, okay? All the markets are doing always is 2 things: creating fear and greed. This is all greed, and then when the greed runs out, the people who are holding these winners, or the people who bought up here, they're eventually going to take their profit or get out for a loss. And a lot of times it could happen all at once, and big money is going against other big money. They don't really care about us little guys as much as most retail traders think. Okay, so here we go. Got a nice red candle here. This is a red doji candle. This is okay, a nice thicker red candle. I always judging the bodies of the candles. A lot of this I just got from Al Brooks, and I'm just put my own little flair on it. I'm gonna put my own little flair on showing how I see the stuff, but a lot of it is Al Brooks stuff. Okay, so I always expect a pullback. So if I was shorting up here and it came back, I could expect to probably take profit here or get out here. Some bulls will be thinking that this could be a pullback area to bounce back up if they think this the trend is strong enough to continue up. This will be a pullback and it continue up. But if you look at the 1 hour, we're hitting a trend line, like I was saying earlier. So people that bought up here and then, yeah, it's just a lot of people will not want to buy once it's hitting the trend line because we are in a bull market. We've been bullish all morning, but we are in an overall higher time frame bear market. Been like this most of the year and last year. So on the daily, as I was pointing out, and the daily's got all this to fill. And then for the hourly, all of this, right, has been going on. So the gap fill could be very lucrative and come all the way down here. So we're going to wait for signs of that. So I still would not be entering here until I start to really feel. You got to get a sense of feel. That's what I talk about a lot in my stream, and just it's what really has helped me out is to develop a sense of feel for when things are, I don't know how else to explain it. You develop a trader's instinct. You can kind of feel when the people are panicking out. You can kind of feel when the other side is piling in because I know the other side is panicking out. And then if you do this stuff long enough, over and over and over again, you kind of develop a sense of when to go a little bit bigger and when to capitalize. And then you start to develop a trading plan on when to wait for these setups. And maybe, you know, if you don't want to go a little bit big on some funded accounts or personal accounts, maybe use that little bit of greed feeling to go for a challenge and go a little bit bigger to pass a challenge. And it's a good opportunity to learn how to take these types of trades that I'm showing you guys. Alright, as you can see, it's starting to compress here. I'm always looking for a compressing price. When price compresses like this, you can see, I'll just go ahead and draw the line out. I hate when it does that. Alright. And there's, you know, if I were to draw another line here, it'd be, you know, just like where the EMA is at. So it could probably break out one way or the other. I'm leaning towards the bearish side. You can see here on the 1 minute, it's compressing, a little up, a little down. So, looks like it's starting to form the middle finger, right? Many times, the market has done the middle finger to us. And it overshoots, right? Goes up a little bit above, shorts back down right here. It overshoots here, comes a little bit below, starts to crawl back up. That's why I don't really buy very much at support and resistance. I like to look for overshoots and then potentially buy if I'm looking for reversals below. And the same thing with shorting the tops. Alright, so a gap fill, people will start to panic out of their longs, and bears will start to pile in because they know that the next support is very far away. And these halfway supports are weaker supports. And a lot of times these traders will know that these weaker supports won't hold up. Not always, we could get a gap trap. But if you do take the trade and you decide to hold and you feel pretty confident because you're judging the move down and you feel that it's confident it could go through this and then go through this and maybe even overshoot like I'm talking about, and you get a sense of when to hold, you can make a lot of money doing this. And that's what I'm always looking for, is gap ups and gap downs, legitimate true gap fills. And still haven't really got the sense that it's going to be a true gap yet, because we're hovering around the pullback zone, which is the 20 EMA. And we could get a quick pop-up that could fade back down. They love to play these games all the time. So like I said, there is no perfect way to enter. Sometimes you will think it's crashing and you get excited about jumping in the gap because it's going to come down, and then it'll spike up and it'll hit your stop loss. And then it'll flush right back down, and then it'll fall all the way, and then you'll be pissed off because your analysis was right, but you just got stopped out or whatever. That's why I always advocate for trading small enough where you can have a wide stop to not get tagged out of those type of scenarios. And then if it starts going in your way, especially when it goes really fast, you can add on, and then you can just watch your profit just grow like a freaking vine. So still waiting for the entry. This could be a bull trap here. I'm trying to show you guys as it's playing out and talking about how I would be thinking about it and how these different scenarios could play out, just so you guys aren't seeing a dead chart. So anybody watching this could develop their sense of trading this pattern by watching me trade it right here. And if you're too lazy to backtest, or you don't have the software or the time or whatever, and you just like to just come and click on a video, well, here in my Discord I'm going to post these once a week for anybody who wants to learn and watch what kind of setups that I like to look for. Well, I'm gonna do my best to try to post it once a week on Saturday when I get some free time, and that's what I'm doing right here. It might take me hours to create these videos. I'll do my best to create them where you guys can see and feel what I'm looking for. And then if we have a community of people who are like-minded and looking for the same patterns, then we can kind of like, spot these patterns together. Everybody's going to have a different eye, right, of what they see, but it takes time to develop a trader's eye to learn what to trade, what your eye has been trained to see. And the more I can help people, and the more that we trade these similar patterns, the more the patterns play out, and the more that everybody wins. A lot of these algorithms are trading this way, so we need to kind of look out for what they're trading too. Alright, here we go. And a lot of this is just Al Brooks's teaching, but I'm just teaching it with my own flair. Basically, he teaches with the dead charts, and I learned all of this by trial and error. All the little nuances that I'm explaining here has just been from trial and error, losing, busting accounts, funded or evaluation. I haven't really busted a personal account in years, so thanks to these prop firms, I make money with them, I trade with their money, and I can go a little bit bigger when I see these types of plays. A lot of people think I only trade micros and I'm some small-time trader, which is very true, but part of it is not true because I do trade a little bit bigger. I just will do it with micros. I'll put on 10, I'll put on 15, I'll put on sometimes 20. And if I'm doing a challenge, I'll put on 25 or 30, and then I'll just scale in and scale out, and that's just how I've developed this rhythm for micros. And the beauty of that is sometimes I won't have to, when I exit out of a trade, let's say I only put on 5, right? And I'm not 100% filling the trade, I can just get out for a small loss with just 5 micros or whatever. Or if I put on 5 and I think the trade is still valid, but let's say it spiked against me a little bit, but I think it's a little bit better entry, then I'll add on to it, and I can do it with micros, and I get a little bit better entry. So there's 2 big bonuses with that. And I'm just going to do all these backtesting videos with micros. So this first part of my backtesting series, I'm going to leave it a little bit long, and that's why I'm talking a lot about how I plan on sharing my backtesting and what I'm looking for. And I'll go over other setups too, but right now I want to go over the gaps and how I look for them and the little nuances and all that stuff. But in the future, with my future videos, I'm going to go zero in on the bigger moves, and then we'll try to feel them out in the video just a little bit closer to the time that the good entry point takes place. So I started the recording and the time a little bit earlier than I could have, a little bit extra early before the gap entry is taking place. Hopefully you didn't just move the little bar on the video to go quicker to where the entry is, because then you'll miss all the little golden nuggets I'm talking about on how to develop an eye for seeing this. And that's the number one indicator, in my opinion, is developing your eyes to see what is going on and notice and recognize patterns and behaviors in the market for when they play out, because that's all the stuff really is. I learned it from the book Trading for a Living by Dr. Alexander, I think his name is. He talks about this all throughout the book, how everything really is just a reflection of fear and greed. And when you can recognize the fear and greed on the charts, then pretty much the kingdom is yours. But then you have to master your own emotions along with the chart reading. Okay, that's another part. Some people won't have the ability to handle holding a big winner and holding it through some a winning trade. They'll take out their profit way too soon, and they'll do the opposite with the losers. So that's another topic for another video, but try to keep it mainly just for gap entry here. Okay, so we're starting to go sideways, like I was talking about. We're a little bit parabolic up. We're starting to go sideways. The pullback has started, but the move back up is kind of fading. It's not really strong. It's very weak. You see all these tiny candles. It's going sideways. Now there's going to be a lot of traders who are waiting for the gap, because they know we're on the trend line on the 1 hour. They know that this could be the start of the gap fill back to the downside. They're just going to wait for that confirmation. So confirmation, and then when they take their profit, it's called validation. So you wait for confirmation and you get out at validation. All right, so we're going sideways now. Candles are getting smaller on the green. Bears are still attacking slightly. It's just a tug of war, as you can see here on the 1 minute. We're waiting for that break of structure, and not just any break of structure like this. This was a break of structure, technically, but it was very weak. Okay, it's first attempt at a real pullback. I'm waiting for that big thrust down. And here's the thing. I don't mind jumping in with the bears here, or here even, and sometimes even here, if I feel the gap fill is very, very strong. I don't ever worry about catching the very, very best entry at the top or the bottom. I just want the wind at my back. I want the moves to be strong enough to carry me right into profit, because especially if I'm going with big size, I need it to go right into profit. I don't have the big bank accounts to withstand all of this drawdown, and then just knowing that my analysis is correct, and then I can handle it coming all the way back down or whatever. Because you get caught in something like that. You could be shorting right here thinking that this is the top of the trend line, And that this is the beginning of the gap fill. And look what you have to hold through all of this. Forget that. So that's why you got to wait for real confirmation. You got to wait for some real strength, some volume. And I'm not talking about looking at the histogram volume or anything. You can kind of judge the volume just based on the thickness of the candle and the movement. So we're going to wait, and I'll just kind of jump in right when I think that the gap fill is starting to really show itself. It's a true gap fill. Maybe I'll create a thread on my Discord. It'll be TGIF. I'm just thinking of this right now. The gap is filling. Okay? We can just be like, hey, go on there on the freaking thread. Somebody sees the gap filling. You could just be like, alert, alert, the gap is filling. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But you guys need to learn how to see the gaps before we could even do something like that. These are my very, very favorite setups. They're the most lucrative. I passed challenge with them. I've had really, really good paydays with them. And honestly, I'm not even the best at trading them. I'm not the best at holding all the way down or even overshoot. I've gotten some pretty good days doing it, though. I could be a lot better. And I'm not talking about catching the very best entry or whatever at the top. Because you could short right here or even here. And if you have conviction and belief that it's going to go all the way down or even more, and you just have, hey, you know, if it plays out, it plays out, and I get it right this one time, let's say it works 2 out of the 3 times, you have a massive payday, right? And the more confident you get in doing this, hopefully not overconfident, because overconfidence leads to killing accounts too. All right, so it's starting to look like a gap fill, right? Starting to see some real break of structure. These red candles are starting to grow. I could throw on a little filler trade right here. Let's do it. All right, fill me, fill me. Sometimes you just want to jump in all market. We're going to see how much money we can make scaling in to the gap fill with just micros. Okay? I like to add on to winning trades. If it goes a little bit against me, I expect that. That's okay. I don't expect to always get perfect trades. All right. Come on, baby. Let's play up. You see your little testing here. We can let it test. That's fine. Once it starts to really jump, fill the gap, you could just, I don't know about you guys, but I get a sense that you can feel the gap fill. Now, I know this is hindsight, but this is what you got to do. Is you got to go back and back test and go to those very key moments when changes of structure were happening, get used to the feel of it. This is what I do all the time. And I'm just going to be doing this to share it with you guys and plus get better myself. So now I just get to share it with you guys in the community here in the Discord. All right, so yeah, we went a little bit in profit, but we don't want that little bit of profit. We want the freaking the big wave. We want the kahuna, right? We want the big drop, the big dump. We want it to die. Have you ever been in a losing long trade and then the bears just collapse like this and then the candle just gets real massive? You know it's time for you to panic out, right? And you got to get out before your account blows up. But you want to be doing the opposite. You want that opposite feeling. You're in a winning trade with the bears and that big red candle just forms and you know you can add on. You're doing the opposite. And that's how people freaking get rich. You make lots of money. You pass accounts. You get in those withdrawals. No guarantees. Everything in this channel is subjective. What I'm saying, it's not financial advice. Just me sharing what works for me and what I'm looking for. All right, so we're up. You know, I feel strong with this. I'm gonna add on. Okay, got 10 micros going now. Let's check it out. We could throw on the. All right, I should have shown it with the bracket orders. Order all right, filled. We're gonna put on 15. Watch. Let's just see if it even goes in back into negative. Hardly any drawdown, right? Almost none. Okay, like now we're up $400 or $500. 15 micros. I'm feeling strong. I can add on again. I'm taking the challenge right now. I'm gonna put on 25.
Order rejected.
Okay, I only have a little bit of drawdown. If it was a funded account, then I could do more, but it's only a $2,100 wiggle room. We got 20 micros though. Let's see how much money we can make on a gap fill with 20 micros. Look at this. No freaking need to jump out of your trade because you know that this support right here is pretty weak. You could scale out and take some profit, but I wouldn't recommend it, especially if you're trying to pass a challenge. You could put 30 on right here. You know, this is what I think I did to pass my drawdown killer and Uprofit and my Apex. This is how I did it. I did it with these freaking trades right here. And I even made a video about it. So yeah, I'm doing hindsight, but I also freaking did it and made a video and showing you guys right now, backtesting it, what I did again. Alright, so here we are. We're collapsing. We're up 1,200 bucks. We hardly had any drawdown. No need to scalp out. Scalp for the baby profits. Your profit will be so much greater if you learn to hold these ones. These are runners. Okay? I do like to, especially because it's live, when I'm trading live, I will scalp out. I'll lock in some profit. I'll throw in my stop losses here or put it right here. But no need to be really panicking out if the trade is not even showing any signs that it wants to change course. Some people, you know, just can't handle it and they just take their profit too quick. But you got to get used to having winners run and cutting your losers fast. All right. No drawdown at all. But see how these candles are pretty thick? They're pretty big. We could get that one big dump candle, and that's what it's the greatest feeling is when you're holding some shorts, whether it here or here. You see, I entered here, I even added on, and I still got a good entry here, far away from current price. You could go big all at once, but I'm just showing you the power of adding on without it being so scary. It feels nerve-wracking when you throw a big size on all at once. For me anyways. This is how I feel about trading. Alright, so here we're coming up. This is what I call the micro pullback area on the 1 minute. Okay, doesn't mean we're going to reverse. If it goes up and touches this 20 EMA, it's just a micro pullback because it goes up. Each one of these candles, I can show you the micro pullback on the 5 minute. Alright, so this candle started here. You know, at one point it was here. And then this next candle went all the way back to here. Right? And then it turned. This candle went all the way back to here and it turned. Well, all this area right here is the 20 EMA micro pullback. So this is the 20 EMA micro pullback. This is the 20 EMA micro pullback. This is the 20 EMA micro pullback. Alright? Now this is a compression zone. If this collapses and fails, and the bulls will give up. They'll know, a lot of bulls will know that their chances are getting weaker and weaker of having them come out at break even or a small loss or whatever, and that the trend is not going to go back in their favor. And these people, if they did buy here, here, and here, they got to get out. This is what you got to learn in trading too, is you got to learn when to get out. Okay? This is kind of my aha moment, is in trading, you got to know when to get out and when to hold. And I'm using this perfect example of a gap trade, or just any trade when it's like this. If you're long, you know you got to get out when you start to see it fill in the gap like this, because you know that this little support that you may be hoping for probably doesn't really stand a chance. And if it starts crashing below this, you're going to get some big dumpage, even more people panicking out. The dumber people that held even longer and longer, they'll eventually all give up. And believe it or not, people don't mind shorting as long as they keep feeling that the trend and you know, it just keeps falling and falling. They'll keep shorting all the way down until they start to think that the bulls will start to buy the bottom. So let's just watch. Are you getting a sense that it's gonna rush back up? Are you wanting to take your profits here, or are you starting to think maybe this is a good idea to add on? Because it's a good idea sometimes to add on the micro pullbacks to your winning trade. Okay, I didn't even do the best on adding on to the winning trade. I could have waited to the micro pullbacks. See, like these are weak attempts at a micro pullback. There's a micro pullback, weak attempt. All right. I'm always looking to short moves on the downside and buying moves on the front side. So front side, downside. Too many beginners, and I used to do this to myself. You want to look for the bottom. You want to look for the supply and demand, the support and resistance. You're trying to catch at the best, lowest prices possible. And to me, you can't do that. You can catch a reversal, but the probabilities are lower, right? I'm looking for high probability and high profit and strength and low drawdown. And this is one of these types of trades. They only happen about 5% of the time, maybe 10% of the time. Like last week, we had it happen about 10% of the time. We had it happen 4 days in a row. Look at this. $1,300, 20 micros. If that was 40 micros, that would be $2,700. That would pass the 50K challenge just from here to here. 40 micros. Or it'd be from here to here and you just add on. But even this, 20 micros, you want to pass the 50K challenge, you want $2,500, you let it get close to $2,000, you lock it in, and then you scalp your way for the next, $500 or $1,000 or whatever you need, depending on which prop firm you're with. But I prefer to try to look for those home run trades the past prop firms like, or you want to get to your safety net or whatever, or you're just becoming the most patient trader as possible. If you have the patience to wait for these kind of trades to play out, then you got a really good chance of making a lot of money. The most profitable traders that I know are the most patient ones. I know traders who are so profitable and so patient, they hardly take losses, but they hardly ever trade too. They may trade 1 time a week, 2 or 3 times a week, and they're so good at spotting this stuff. And they have so much patience waiting for these setups. And it's because you develop over a long sense of time how to develop that sense of patience. And all of those traders that I've known or heard of or talked to, they have gone through the growing pains. There's just no way of getting around it. You can shorten the growing pains by having a mentor or looking over people's shoulders or just following someone or just practicing a lot like I'm doing all the time. That's how I've got it. Albrooks, lots of freaking demo practice on the weekends, at night, going over my mistakes. Just going over my trades that worked well, realizing that being the most patient trader I can be is always the most profitable I am. I went on vacation, 3-4 weeks ago, and I hardly trade. I would only turn on my phone or my laptop once an hour, every couple hours, and I only took a trade if I saw an A+ setup, and I had hardly any losing trades. It was just a beautiful feeling. I'm on vacation, I'm hardly trading, I'm taking winning trades left and right, and it always seems to be like that. The less I trade, and the more of a mentality I kind of get to this, I'm only going to take the best setups, the more I make, and the better I just feel too. I'm not stressed out. I'm not scalping my freaking mind out. Okay, so look, yes, there's going to be some kind of little test and try. We're still away from the 20. It has shifted, the break of structure, right? We're now below the 20, and ideally you want to be shorting when you're below the 20, and maybe this is the pullback area on the 5-minute. Okay, you could short here, and sometimes the gaps don't go straight down. Sometimes they do this thing like they did, I think it was on Thursday, where I did this a couple times. It tried, and then eventually it did the big drop and it gave up. You're going to get that sometimes. None of these gaps are perfectly looking the same. They all have their own little characteristics, their own little nuances. Sure, I'm starting to lose some money here, right? I haven't hit any drawdown yet. I don't want to just throw my stop losses as I'm taking these gap trades, because you can quickly lose your money, your profits, just by a little spike up and then it goes continue in your favor. If you can be bold and hold through little baby pullbacks and then watch it collapse, then you can really, if you never hold, you're never going to catch the runner, the big intraday swing trade or whatever it is, the play that you want to take. So look, now I'm starting to feel more confident that the gap is really going to fill. It could be a head and shoulders type scenario. You could add on to your winner right here if you're not too chicken. You can watch it pop up. You can add on as long as you're not over leveraged down here. You don't want to do that too many times, especially if you don't have experience or whatever, you can add on and then watch it come back to break even, and you lose all your profit, and you're on tilt, and you're mad, and you hadn't even lost any money, but you're just had a bunch of floating profit now turn into break even. Okay, so it's starting to tempt back up. I'm still not worried about it. I'm still feeling confident that this is going to not hold up, and then we're just going to continue down. So we're just going to let it play out. Okay, market maker's giving us the big middle finger. Okay, I'm waiting for that big poop candle, the big drop. Starting to look like this is a failed attempt on the bulls. There we go. Boom, look at that. All right, 1,800 bucks. If I was doing a challenge, I'd probably put on 25. I have more than that. I'd be pretty close to passing a 50K challenge, getting to that 3K, real close to it. I could have scalped out a couple times and re-entered, but it's still good to hold. Okay, this is looking like it's pretty weak, guys. I think it's going to crash right through, and this would be the next target area. And what I said earlier is a lot of times this stuff will overshoot. It won't even come to the support. It won't. It's not like it's going to hit the support and just bounce. A lot of times it overshoots. Oh, we're up 1,700. Okay. Let's go to the 1 hour. Earlier, it was looking like bulls were in somewhat control, right? All right, now you can see that doji red candle. 1 hour traders who don't even want to mess with it until it starts looking like a red candle or whatever. They're waiting for that confirmation that there's a real reversal. Okay, this would be the overshoot right here. This would be the support. Let's go ahead and... Alright, we'll put the support right over right here. We'll put the support. I'm going to put a support here. Alright, let's put a support here. Oh. What? Alright. This is why I don't trade Fibonacci's. I don't care about that stuff. I'm looking for gap fills, reversals. Okay, here's the support. We're zooming in. This is a weaker support. This is a stronger support. But I don't even buy on support. I want to buy below support. I don't want to buy on this support, below this support. I want to buy below this support. Alright, so look, we're up $2,000, 20 micros. And we added on. We hardly took any drawdown. Hardly any at all. I don't even think we really took much drawdown. And we added on to the winning position. So we never increased our real initial risk. If you threw your stop loss in, You put all your stops right here at break even. Right here. Never even touched it. Okay. Have you ever been in that losing trade where you're getting close to getting out at break even? The market looks like it wants to let you out. It wants to let you out. It's getting close to your break even, and then it does this. It does that, and you're going, oh no. Oh no. I call it the hope and nope, right? Well, you want to flip the switch. You want to do the opposite, but on the winning side. You want to see the hope and nope, but you want it to be on, it flipped around. So you're in the winning trade. You're in the winning trade, and you're not panicking out of watching your floating profit come to break even. You want to see it do the opposite because you know that stuff happens, and you just want to flip the switch. And instead of being the loser, you're the winner. You want to watch the hope and nope, but for you want to watch it be in your favor. Okay, here we're gonna test this weaker support. We're up $2,000, right? If we had 25 micros on right here, it would have been an extra $500, so it would have been pretty close to passing the challenge. I probably would have locked it in, and then I would probably just baby scalp to my way to the profit target. I've done that many times. But I also love it when it just one or two trades and it goes right all the way to your profit target, and you can do it in one day if you catch one of these winning scenario trades. All right, the gap is filling. Head and shoulders looking thing. Big middle finger coming down. All right, look at this. Okay, collapsing. I want to see that big red flushing candle. Okay, one of those candles that if you weren't shorting, a lot of people will chase. Oh my God, I want to be a part of this big move. And then they start chasing it. And it helps you, right? When they start doing that, everybody starts just piling into the shorts because they know that the rest of the gap is probably going to fill. There's been many times where I missed the gap fill up here and I might miss my entry. I'll start shorting right here. I'll start shorting here. I still believe that this will fill, and I've done it many times on stream. And then people will come in and say, what are you doing? You're shorting down there? Yeah, I am. I believe that this is going to continue. It's a continuation. It's strong enough. Okay, this candle, I'm waiting for that big, this one looks like it wants to turn into one of those big dropping candles. All right, I'm going to mute my Discord for now. It's kind of distracting. All right, filling the gap up 2300s, just 20 micros. Like I said earlier, if you have the patience to wait for these gap fills and you have developed a sense of when they're going to play out and you can hold this stuff, you make a lot more money if you can hold than just scalp. You can still make a lot of money on these when you're just scalping in and out too. Even a scared trader, if they can spot these, can make good money. Alright, it's playing out, right? This weaker support right here. Let's draw it up a little bit higher. I don't think it's going to hold. Doesn't look like it. Most of the time, these weaker supports, when the gap fill, it just collapses right through. Then it'll probably bounce a little bit right here, but I think it'll probably flush below this. Alright, let's zoom in on the 1 hour. Let's see where our take profits are. Let's move them up a little bit. Okay, 12,300 is the next big round psych level. We're right now currently 70 points above that. So this is A little bit more like that. And so a lot of experienced traders and people who are well off with money, they know that this might even be another good opportunity to add to their winning trade. On my next back test, I'm going to increase this just by a little bit more. Hold rejected, right? If you had more wiggle room, then you could add on the pullback and then watch it collapse. This is how I actually backtest. I don't always do it exactly like this, but a lot of times I will go to the great trades of the week, and I'll just go in and zero in on the time. Yes, I'm hindsight looking at it, but I want to feel it. I want to take the trade. I want to feel what it feels like before I enter. I want to get that sense of adding on to winning trades, and I want to get that sense of holding for winners too. And I also go for areas where it looks like it's a fake out, and I go and test those too, so I can get the sense of when they don't play out, because not every gap fills, right? They don't always fill. A lot of times, if it doesn't fill the gap, then if we're in a really strong bull trend, then this would rip. This would just be a deep pullback, and it would rip to the moon, right, to the heavens. And this would be in a raging bull trend. You're not wanting to short the gaps. You're not confident in it as much. And you got a sense that it's going to keep ripping and ripping and ripping. Remember a few years ago when we just kept going to all-time highs? This stuff hardly ever played out. Yeah, we get these deep pullbacks, but then the bulls would just buy it right up, and they just keep going up and up and up. But lately, this is why I'm going over these. We're in a bear market. We got to go over the big trades that are very profitable in a bear market. You got to get used to all the market environments. So look at this. We're up 2,400, 20 micros. Hardly ever went big at the beginning, and I added on to the winning trade. Added on. It was not even very optimal add-ons either. I'm going to try to do a little bit better on adding on in the future to showcase better ways to add on. We're up 2,500. 50K challenge. We're $500 away from that almost. Okay. And I took these trades. Passing my Apex challenges last week on this day, on Monday. This is what I did. I was shorting this. You can go back on my stream too. I think I did call it out on the stream when I was like, hey guys, I'm taking these Apex trades. You could hear the order filled, order filled, you know, the girl's voice on Ninja. I was taking and passing the challenges on my stream, but just doing it on a different computer than I stream on. And then when I closed the stream, I kept trading, and I passed the 150K and the 50K, and I recorded that, and then I showed you guys that too with my last, how I passed my 3 watch me pass the 3 Apex challenges. I was it came all the way down here, and then I actually tried to short the next pop up. You'll see it happening here. I tried to short that next pop up, and I took my loss. And then it started to collapse again, and then I shorted again. We'll see it all play it out here. Okay, sometimes my backtesting software here on Trade8 pauses. You just gotta hit the pause again. Put it on 400% speed. This minor support, I don't think it's gonna hold up. I was taking these shorts earlier, last week, like I was saying. As you can see here, it is crashing below the previous support, which is now turned resistance. It's a weaker support, like I was saying earlier. The more you get experience holding these types of trades, a lot of people will take profit. This will be like a partial profit taking area. A lot of people like Tom Hugard, one of my favorite traders, and who I'm trying to aspire to always kind of like work towards being like, adding on to winners, holding for the bigger moves, knowing when to spot the bigger moves, knowing when the bigger moves don't play out, and knowing that they don't always play out. But when you take a chance and you have your risk management and you can be bold and hold for when they do play out, it will definitely eat up all your losing trades that don't play out. And if you don't overtrade, then you will be ahead of the game and find an edge in the market. And that's what we're doing here with this backtesting, going over scenarios and showing you all the little nuances that I'm looking for with all of these trades. As you can see, 3,200 bucks, 20 micros, added on to winners, never really took any drawdown. We passed the challenge. We could close it down on a 50K, or if this is a real funded account, you can let your winners run. You could take some profit, and this is what I do. I'm a chicken most of the time. I'm taking some good profit, but I'm also loving it when I can hold a small amount or at least something to let it run. Look at this, 3,300 bucks. It's probably not going to hold up very much near the next support. We got 3,300 bucks. We passed the challenge. If we're going for a 50K, look at all this profit potential we still have to fill the rest of the gap. This is the next support down here. You know? I used to be one of those traders who were like, ooh, a support and resistance trader. I couldn't wait to be entered in because I was like, oh, this is good enough. I'm just going to enter in here. This is close enough of a support. I don't want to risk it ripping without me. And then it just keeps gap crapping and it just falling. I'm like, man, there's got to be a better way to trade. So I gave up on trying to be a support and resistance trader. So this is what I do. I look for break of structure, higher time frame, change of structure. Okay, 1 hour, higher time frame, change of structure. Looking for the gap fills. Markets love to repeat themselves. They have inertia. Gap up, crap. Gap up, crap. And you can see we're in a descending channel. Here, these are gap traps. This tried to gap back up. Failed. Right? Failed to gap up. So it broke below. Okay. People buying below support here. Who were the smart ones. They waited for some sideways action. I always try to wait for sideways action instead of trying to just buy the falling knife or short the roaring, or let's call it a runaway train. Okay, wait for sideways action, wait for break of structure. It's pretty much my strategies. Wait for the higher time frame, change of structure. Look for strengths in the gaps when they're filling. Take a challenge. You know, a lot of times I see something like this in the market. That's when I start buying a challenge. And I'm like, ooh, good time. Take a challenge. If I'm feeling greedy, I'm going to take a challenge here. I'll pass. I don't always pass like that, but a lot of times when I see this, I'll give it a shot. Pass in 1 day, pass in 2 days, whatever. You know, let's say you scalped out. You only got half of it. You chickened out. And then you missed this, and you go, I don't want to short down here. You're still very, very close to passing the challenge. Look, you could have passed 2 challenges. We get almost $4,000 here. This is the power of holding, too. Power of holding. If you can get really good at holding, then man, you can make a lot of money. That's what I'm always trying to improve on. These backtesting series is not just me showing you in the Discord or anybody who's watching this how to do it, but this is me trying to get better, trying to see the same patterns play out over and over again so I can get better at spotting them too. Because the more you see the patterns playing out over and over again, the more you're going to develop your best indicator, and that's your 2 eyeballs and your gut. That's the indicators you want to pay attention to, and developing that trader's instinct to notice these moves. Sure, you can watch other people's gap videos and where it's just a dead chart, and then maybe the trading view, they just show it with the bar replay. Just look at what happened. I don't think that's the best way. I'm going to show these long-winded back testing videos, but this one is a little bit more long-winded because it's the first one. My second, I'm going to go over, this is Monday, I'm going to go over Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know if I have enough energy or enough time to do all of them this week, but I'm definitely going to do at least a couple. So I'll do Monday, maybe I'll do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm just going to do the best setups on these gaps. Okay? Let's let this play out all the way until the structure changes and the momentum changes. Okay, because it could happen pretty quickly. I've had it where I've held a long time and I get too greedy. I've got too greedy and watch it come down, and sometimes it will bounce before the support. Sometimes it will not. Sometimes it will crash below. A lot of times I'm looking to try to hold below because that's where the bigger payouts are. Watching it go below the support, because a lot of times stuff will go below support. Like, let's look here on the 1 hour. Again, I keep referring to the 1 hour because the stuff happens all the time. So here's a gap trap. All right, we're going to go here to a gap trap. This is a time where it did not fill the gap all the way. But look at the tails are just so strong. You get a sense of when this happened. Maybe I will make this my next video. That's a good idea. I'm gonna this is gonna be my next video. Let's see what time this is. Go to crosshair, show crosshair. Come right here to the time. This was 2:14, around 7 a.m. ish. Probably some news, but still after the news. Around the open, 8 o'clock, 8:30. Bears are crashing it down. It did not fill the gap. It was a gap trap. Okay, went above resistance, went up higher, come down a little bit, break above, come down, retest a little bit below, go all the way up to the previous break above this. Okay, go a little bit above the trend line, overshoot. I'm always looking for overshoots. I like to keep it simple with the terminology. Okay, come down, little head and shoulders, failed attempt to come all the way back up to the trend line, failed attempt to the high of day, gap back down, true gap fill because it broke below. The strength was very strong here. Then it started to get weaker and weaker, but it eventually broke below this structure, this support, and look how much further it came down. Came all the way down to this support. Okay, this is the gap fill to the upside, which failed on this day. Let me show you guys here. While this gap play is still playing out, I'm going to show you the gap traps when they don't play out. Alright, this is overnight stuff, or 10 a.m. Okay, to 2. This failed. This is a sideways, boring price action day. Probably waiting for some news or whatever. Okay, it was boring price action. This is the type of stuff I just, you know, you could just feel that it's just not a good trading day. It's just sideways. I remember these days. I actually remember all these days. I talk about them all the streams too, but I'm just going to go over all the good stuff in these videos. Alright, we're still up 3,300 in profit. Alright, let's zoom in here. 1 hour. We're not panicking out. We feel we're on the winning team here. No need to panic out yet. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and close this one. Alright, we made $3,400 in profit. Booyah. Great setup. You could buy these up. You can see that it's gapping up. It's roaring. It's above the 20. I don't think I did that. I think it's just right around the open, 8:30. I remember sitting on this day, just watching it go all the way up, and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then I remember this day. It was last week, Monday. I passed 3 Apex challenges on this day. I caught this big move down. All right. Anyways, so that's it for this Monday. Let's go to the next day. Oops, what am I doing there? All right. That's the gap on Monday. Reset, replay. All right. That was Monday. Let's go to Tuesday. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to skip ahead. And on Wednesday, we're going to look at Tuesday's price action. We're going to look for the gap fill. Okay. But we're going to jump in right before it. And we're also going to go in this video to some of the gap traps, because you got to be able to see them both. Okay. What makes a good trader is he knows when to hold and he knows when to get out of a losing trade. And sometimes that's the key too. When you know how to get out of a losing trade, you don't blow up your account, right? You know that it's not going to let you out at break even, or you can get out at a smaller loss. You've given yourself a little wiggle room to kind of give your trade idea a chance, and then you've given up on it because you're seeing the structures going the opposite way or whatever. You know when to get out. And then if you've gotten that sense, you know when to get out, you kind of know when to change your bias and maybe switch teams. It's okay, and that's the great part about futures. Switch teams immediately. You'll you'll have no problems getting out and going on the other team, especially when you all right, I'm wrong on this one. I'm going to get my money back cuz I can tell the other side is filling the gap or it's an overshoot or whatever it is. You get your money back. I've done it so many times on stream. And that's just how I trade anyway. I'm always trying to be good at those two things: knowing when to get out of losers, knowing when to change bias, and knowing when to hold winners. And here's another thing: you got to know when to hold to get out of those winners too, and just take your small profit or get out of break even. Those are the four things. All right, we're going to Wednesday just to look at the times, but we're going to look for the optimal trade ideas for Tuesday. Okay, so this is what I do. I'm going back in time, but I'm jumping around in time to get the times of when those trade ideas are good to enter. And I want to get a feel of trading them again. So I trade it once during the live session, then I come back, and then I trade again on the replay. So the more experience you got doing those types of trades, the more you get a feel for it, then the more you get better at it. You develop that trader's instinct, and I got that from the book One Good Trade from Mike Bellafiore. Maybe I will find the clip in the book. I got the audio book. I'll play a clip in here somewhere if I feel like editing it out and then capturing that audio and throwing it in here so you guys can see. He talks about how to triple your experience and speed up your learning curve to profitability. Okay. All right, so here's what I'm doing. I'm in Wednesday, but I'm going to look at Tuesday because I know Tuesday had another gap fill. So this was Monday's gap fill. All right. All right, here, let's go. This is the overnight, and I actually remember trading this overnight. I made some money as it was starting to fill the gap back to the upside. It was around 7 p.m. Right, yep, see, I even remember 7 p.m. I caught some of that move up. Got some of that on my prop firm. I think it was Uprofit. I made a little money, and I do some prop firms at night, and some I'll do in the morning, and then some I do on the New York session, and then now I'm doing Apex and Elite at the same time, and I'm using Trade Copier, and I'm kind of doing all of these things, trying to figure out what works. I'm trying to find the perfect science that works for me with dealing with all of these funded accounts, but really it's still not that hard of a job. You just turn on the platform, you look for a good scalp, you take a trade, and you move on to the next account, or you do multiple accounts with the trade copier. I still haven't perfected it yet. I'm tinkering still. All right, so let's go back in time. This is the overnight. All right, overnight Asian session started going sideways after roaring up halfway to the gap fill. It's the Asian market session, so I wouldn't expect it to go all the way up. This is New York session type of behavior. Sometimes London session type of behavior too. They love to reverse as well. Sometimes I'll be getting up at 3 a.m. Let's look. Let's see what the Londoners did. All right, Londoners went sideways on this one. All right, they came here 2:15, 3 a.m. Central Time is when the Londoners come in. 3 a.m. They just went sideways. And here is the open. All right, I remember this gap too. Okay, and yeah, I made money as it was collapsing below this. I remember that. It probably on stream. If you want to go back and see exactly what I did, I will go back in there and watch it too. But this was a gap up, and this was a failed rally by the bulls. And once you just get a sense of this one's a little bit more of a wild. All right, let's look at the times here. We're going to zero in at 8:45 a.m. 8:45 a.m. I don't like to trade the first 10 minutes after the open anyway. I like to just kind of watch and see what they're doing. Let the dust settle. You hear me say that all the time on stream. We're letting the dust settle. All right, we're going sideways here, right? Sideways, 8:50 a.m., 9 a.m.-ish. That's around the time when the market stopped going sideways. You can see my 20 EMA when it's going sideways. I don't like this shit, sideways trading. It's shit trading. But when you start to see the gap closing in to the downside and then the support here, this is the 5-minute. I know this is hindsight, but I want to go back and relive it. I want to go back and trade and feel what it felt like and look for that confirmation that it's changing sides, and then I want to get in and then redo it. So what was it? 8:45, 8:45, 8:55. So that's what we're gonna do. We go back in time again. Okay, I'm looking on Wednesday, but I'm gonna go back to Tuesday at 8:45. All right. I'm on the seconds now. All right, we'll do 8:44. That's fine. Whatever. Let's go ahead and make the balance. When I always backtest, I always do $2,100 because most of my funded accounts are $2,100. Okay, so yeah, you don't want to be backtesting and practicing with $100,000 drawdown, because you could just YOLO your way back to prosperity, right? You down 2K, 3K, you don't learn anything. You just climb it right back with 20 minis or 10 minis, whatever. You want to feel like it's a challenge or a real funded account. And what I do, if I'm not doing this style of backtesting, just the big moves, the best optimal trade setups, I'll go back a month in time. I'll go back a month and I'll forget all about what those days were doing. I won't look at the higher time frames. I'll focus mainly on the 5 minute and the 1 minute, and then I'll practice getting the feel for the setups then, and scalping and all that. And I'll do it with this balance right here. This is how I do it, with this balance, not with 50,000 or 100,000, none of that stuff, because I won't become better trader, right? Okay, so we're going back in time. We got it to Tuesday, right? Okay, Tuesday. Okay, we're gonna go right to where the big opportunity trade is on the gap, what it looks like a gap fill. We're gonna relive it. We're gonna trade it. Okay, we're gonna get a feel of what it felt like. Okay, market's going sideways here. It's on speed 200%. I'm gonna speed it up. It's gonna feel a little bit faster than normal, but you can still get a sense of what it feels like on a little bit higher speed. If you really want to make it to feel exactly what it is, then do 100%. No sense in just practicing all of the sideways crap show. You want to learn to avoid that shit. It's okay to get a scalp here and there if you want to just get a trade for the day and then close your computer, in my opinion. Make your whatever small amount of money just so you feel like you made something. You got your minimum trade day in. You got credit for the day. But when you're wanting to be a really good trader, you want to wait for the good opportunities. You want to get a sense of what they feel like, and you want to know how to trade them. And you want to trade them over and over again, like Mike Bellafiore talks about in his book, One Good Trade. He makes his prop firm traders do this too. And he talks about how his best traders, they go and backtest and retrade their trade day, their trading day, right at the end of the day. Sometimes I do that. I like to have a life. I will do it on Saturday, and I'll sometimes watch my videos and go over them during the week. Or if I've had a really bad day, then I'll go do it as a way of kind of making myself a better trader and maybe punishing myself. Hey, you made all these stupid mistakes today. I'm gonna force myself to go and trade that day again on the replay. And I'll do like through all the crap and all that. But most of the time, this is how I do it. All right, so we're waiting for, let's look on the higher time frame. As you can see, we're still in this break, we're in this structural change here. We've roared up, right? We've roared up. We've come up here, we've hit the trend line. We've crashed back down. We're going sideways now. We're in price discovery mode. We're not really sure if the bulls have what it takes to just crush it right through this trend line and change the structure to bulls are back in charge and then we're in a bull market again. But most people are still pretty doubtful that they have that in them. You have some bulls that think that they can do it. I didn't think that they could do it. You can't rule them out completely though, because change of structure happens, market conditions happen. You never know exactly when the trend ends or when it begins. You just got to get a feel for it. So we're going sideways now. They like to play the games like the big money doesn't know where they're going to go next, but it's really just big money going against big money, and they're all just waiting for the best opportunities just like we are. We got to play the same games as them. Alright, so where's the gap fill on this, right? The gap fill is breaking below this structure here. And then we got all this gap fill down here. This would be a huge gap fill. And this is what gap traders are looking for on the higher time frame. Look at that. Okay. It's starting to feel like a gap fill, guys. I'm getting in. Let's do it with the freaking back. Here we go. You know what? I forgot to change my balance. Dang it, why is it not taking that off? 9 o'clock. Alright. Alright, we're going to jump in here. Even though I didn't get the best entry, it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about getting the best entry. I tried to do limit order in. I didn't get in. I'm so confident that this feels like a gap fill. It break below the structure. It could be a gap trap, but I'm going for the jugular here. Okay, why are we stalling? Come on, Trade of 8. Even the Trade of 8 replay starts acting buggy. I'm on the 1 hour. Let's go back to the... As you can see, got some good entries here. We're already up. We can add on to the winning position here. A lot of times these gaps like this one was very fast. Ah, crap. Okay. Broke below structure. It's okay if you don't get perfect entry. You can enter here, here, here. You're making money and you're making it fast. And look at all this gap potential, guys. Huge profit potential. All right. You got a little profit target here. Look, we could scale out. Let's go ahead and do it this time. We're gonna jump in and out. Okay, we take some profit. Who locked in 1,300 bucks? What am I doing? 1,300 bucks. I just took off 5 micros. I take off 5 more. It's because it's got all these. Now let me take it off. Okay. We've locked in 2,600. We've already almost passed the 50K challenge. We could close it out right now and pass 50K challenge. It went so fast because I had it on 400%. Right? Let's go ahead and close this one out. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back and not have it at 400%. I'm going to move a little bit closer. There's probably some news happening at that time. Okay. Let's make it, make this at 55. 56 sounds good. Okay. We're going to give us a little bit more balance. We've got a cushion now. Let's make it 3,100. Give us a little bit more buying power. Alright, we know that the gap is coming soon. You can see right here on the 1 minute. All right, let's go to the 5-minute. Okay, this is the structure down here, right? Let's move this down here. If it breaks below that structure, we get all that gap fill from yesterday. A lot of gap fill down here. Okay, we're not entering just blindly thinking that, hey, oh, it's so high up here. I want to catch the gap move early. You don't ever want to try to catch it early. You just want to be sitting patiently waiting. This is my experience. You try to catch it, yeah, you can catch it. You can just have to sit through a bunch of shit, right? And you might get the best price. You get paid a little bit more if you get it right. And sometimes you don't. You get paid, you're being drawdown. So it's just not a best way to trade, in my opinion. That's why I always say I'm trying to catch the cream of the move. Okay. All right. Okay, we're starting to see some strength. We want to look for that optimal entry area. Okay. This is starting to look like a gap fill, guys. Let's get in here. We're just going to mark it in. I don't know why it gives me a marker way up there, but very volatile. Okay. Even if it's around news and you can't trade the news, you can still catch a good piece of the gap and make some good money. Okay, there's something wrong with the trade of 8. Again, the replay is less optimal. You see now it starts to work. You just click out of the chart and click back on it, and then it'll start to work. This isn't even right here. That's a list. Okay, it should now. As you can see, it's crashing. Did I do something wrong here? No, I did not. Why is it not showing the right P&L? I have no idea. It's frozen. This is craptacular. What the fuck? I'm gonna try again. What am I doing? I wanted this to be. There we go. Alright. Please work this time. Maybe the volatility from the news is affecting the market replay. Alright. So let's go ahead. We're going to enter in just because when you're doing it live, it would not mess up like that, but I don't want to chance it again. All right, let's just say we wanted to scale into this one. We're going to add to the winner. We feel like it's a good gap play. All right, it's pretty strong looking. It's going to crash below the support. There we go. We want to add in. We're just like, woohoo, let's jump in. Okay, it's starting to freaking act up again. Ah, what the hell? Trade of 8. Anyways, let's do the math here. 12, 3, 30. That's 40, 50 points now, 60 points, 50 points on 20 micros is $2,000. Okay, there's something wrong with the replay in this showing with this volatility and this gap. It's $2,000 already. Okay. If we catch more than that, we're already up to 50, almost 100 points. If we get it down here, there's a good chance it could hit 100 points. And it's very fast. These moves are fast, but if you can spot them, even if you have to enter after the news, you can still enter in small as it's a late entry and make good money because you can feel there's a lot of gap fill. You could take some off. We'll see what happens if we let it take some off. Well, let's see. This is messed up. Come on, trade of 8. Anyways, you can see the big gap fill here. You can see the potential. I'm going on to the next day. All right, so that's almost $3,000 right there. You had 20 micros, 50 points, $2,000. It goes past that, you're getting $3,000. All right, let's. I'm gonna call this one a video, and then I'll post another one probably tomorrow. But yeah, that's it for this video on some gaps from this past week. I'm gonna make another one. I'm gonna give my voice a break, and I'll come back.